Welcome to the Players Ball podcast for AT Aliens by AT Aliens. I don't know why I did that. Peace up, A Town down. We are back, and last week we talked about the passing of a legend. And this week we had to do it again, sadly. The great Willie Mays, Say Hey Kid, passed away a couple of days ago now, but it's pretty fresh to us. I want to give a story about that I read about Willie Mays that I thought was incredible. So, and there is an Atlanta tie-in. Willie Mays was playing the Braves. Um, what is the most home runs you think that a player has hit in a single game?
5.
So that may be the most. Willie Mays hit 4 home runs. He accounted for 10 RBIs in a 14-4 game against the Braves, where Hank Aaron also hit 2 home runs.
Wow.
And in the game, there were a total of 10 home runs hit. I was like, man, to be at that game, that had to be the greatest spectator sport of all time. Any best baseball game ever.
You know what we say? Chicks dig the long ball.
Chicks dig the long ball. Yeah, man. So shout out Willie Mays. A lot has been going on in the MLB. Last week we talked about diversity in the MLB and what could the organization do to, bring more Black American players into the game. And right on cue, as the pod does, we've triggered them. No, so you told me before the pod they announced this last week or last year, in mid-June, that they were going to have a Juneteenth celebration, or they were going to honor Juneteenth with a game. So they took it way back and had a game at Rickwood Fields that used to be the home of the Black Barons, and that is a Negro League team, right? So they did that celebration yesterday. There was a lot of interviews. I saw that King Griffey Jr. was interviewed, Barry Bonds was interviewed, Reggie Jackson was interviewed, and he had some very poignant things to say. Um, we'll drop that link in the description. I want you guys to check that out. But essentially, he got down to wanting to honor Willie Mays and his legacy, but also talking about the hard times that were, playing in Alabama back in the day, right? Not being allowed to stay at the hotels, not being allowed to eat at certain diners, and how his manager, a white man, and a couple of his fellow players, right, they were really in unison with him. If he couldn't stay, nobody on the team was staying. If he couldn't eat, nobody on the team was eating. Right. And I think, based on what we were talking about last week, the inclusion of that, on the broadcast was big to me. They didn't cut him off. They gave him a lot of time. Um, and I think Willie Mays would have been proud of that moment because he was one of the trailblazers, right, for Black Americans in baseball, man. So shout out to Willie Mays, man. You have a fun fact about Say Hey Kid?
Well, Willie Mays, he's regarded as one of the greatest center fielders of all time. He
Mhm.
actually debuted in 1948, I believe. Yeah, 1948 as a Black Baron. He grew up very close to Rickwood Field in Birmingham. Um, Made his major league Negro League debut playing for the home team. So what a crazy just timing of his passing and the
Mhm.
timing of this game. It's kind of chilling if you actually think about it. He passed away on the 18th. They played this game on the 20th. He played for the San Francisco Giants when he transitioned into the integrated baseball league.
Right.
And the game on um, the 20th, on Thursday night, yesterday, was the San Francisco Giants. And, like, what, you know, other than divine intervention, right? How else could you plan this story any better? And
Yeah.
he was honored at the game, right? Uh, Chants Willie, Willie, Willie throughout the stadium.
Hmm.
The current players got to escort onto the field the living, remaining Negro League baseball players. It was quite a ceremony. Really, really well done by Major League Baseball. Just really cool to see such a historic venue, Rickwood Field, get revitalized and brought back for this event. Major League Baseball put $5 million in renovations to make the venue usable, and going into next year, it's going to be used as a venue for a local college baseball program. So, kind of
Yeah.
cool. But just to give Willie, some of his due, he was a 24-time All-Star. He was a World Series champion, 2-time NL MVP. He was an NL Rookie of the Year, 12-time Gold Glove Award winner. He was an NL batting champion. He was an NL home run leader, stolen base leader. 5-tool player, right? Could
Right.
could hit, could field, he could do it all. And he was, what, 93 years old, lived a you know, long life, and rest in peace. Can't say enough about what he's done for the game, and sad to see him go, but his legacy will carry on.
I watched a a highlight of one of his catches. I think it's the catch, right, that he's known for, where he's running in the outfield. He has to go in a full sprint. Ball's coming, it's over his head, and he gets it, and he like he pivots and he throws the ball back and kind of falls to the ground because he used all his energy and inertia to get the ball back into the infield. But it was a heck of a catch, man. I wish he would have been there to get his flowers, right? The other Negro League players were there, so that was dope for sure that they were able to get their acknowledgement and their flowers. What a change that had to be for them to see the transition to where they weren't allowed in the league to where they're being honored by the league. Yeah, we'll clap it up for the MLB. Job well done. Reminded me a lot of the Field of Dreams game, but like black version. The Field of Dreams game is really dope. I hope they continue to do that. The players come out of the cornfield, right? On the first one, I don't think the one last year was as good, but the showmanship and the spectacle of it all is still awesome. But the first time they did it, I think it was Tim Anderson. Shout out to Black American baseball players. He walked it off with a home run. The final score was like 9-7. He walked it off, and it was oh man, I watched that game. It was just incredible. Kevin Costner threw out the first pitch. Right, it was cool. So more of this, right? We talked about baseball not being sexy. This is what can make that change happen.
And it's, I think it's brilliant because it gives homage to the history of the game, right? Baseball is one of the, historic games in this country. It has much longer, deeper pastime in the limelight than, basketball or football. It is
Mhm.
America's pastime, and anytime you can go back and bring some of that history to the game now, it's cool to see. I don't want to go into it, but if you ever get a chance, and maybe we'll put it in the description, I caught a clip. We were talking last week about how expensive equipment is for baseball, but
Oh boy.
I caught a clip, and it was just showing the progression of baseball gloves throughout the years,
Mm.
from like cotton mittens that just covered the center of your hand to how they've evolved to what they are today. And it was just kind of crazy to think about. Like, there was a day and age where they basically had just leather wrapped around their hands, and that's what they use as a glove. And now you
Man, we could
have,
do a whole conversation on that, right? Because the first football helmet was just a leather hat, like some cotton in the sides.
yeah. But
It's
no,
wild.
it was cool just to see it like in one clip from start to finish, where it
Mm,
started and where it is today.
yeah, no, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, man. You see what's behind me, all right? I've been optimistic about my Braves. For a point, it felt like I was just being overly hopeful, but I think I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that they have turned a corner. They had a good home stand. They swept the Tigers. They went 2 or 3 with the Rays, and if it wasn't for a blown save, goodness, I don't like Raciel Iglesias. But if it wasn't for a blown save, man, we probably could have swept them too. The bats were alive. I think the stats said that five out of the last 7 games we scored over 6 runs, and we hadn't scored over 6 runs in damn near the whole month of May. So, and that was the point that you had made. We are up big in the wild card standings. Um, well, 5.5 games over the team that could jump in there, and we're creeping on the Phillies, man. 7 games back, and that's still a nice little run that we would need. But seven's a lot better than 12. So,
Yeah, I don't know how many games we have remaining head to head versus the Phillies, but that will probably decide, if
hmm
we legitimately have a chance at the division. At this point, I don't think there's, I don't think we will win the division. I think the Phillies will end up winning the division, but we do have a pretty nice stronghold on the number one wild card spot right now, and that's all you can ask for. There's a lot of baseball left to play. I'm still not necessarily, you know, out of my feelings when it comes to the Braves and how they've been performing of late. They went 6 of 7. Bravo, glad to see it. Bats. Some bats
about
are
time.
some some bats are starting to look like they're coming around, but I need to see more. And I think it's funny because one of the announcers, it was the last game up in Baltimore when we ended up getting the W, and they said, this felt like a turnaround game, like this could spring some
hmm
momentum, and we sure enough carried that momentum home. Now we start a series tonight against the Bronx Bombers, the
hmm
major league leading win total Bronx Bombers. So I think we'll get a real feel for where this team is at in this series. Hopefully they show up and show out, and we can just keep that hope and optimism alive that they're going to keep this thing rolling. I will say, losing Michael Harris is a bummer, right? Just another key cog to this team that's going down. He will be back, but I think it was a stage 2 strain or level 2
Hamstring.
strain. So it is going to take a little bit longer to heal. And you don't want to rush a hamstring back because it will just become a nagging injury. We've seen it with Ronnie in the past. So we want him to
hmm
get as much rest as he can and get fully healthy before we get him back. Uh, on the positive injury front, Ian Anderson has made his return to getting some starts down in the minors. I haven't looked yet to see how well he's performed, but he's coming off of Tommy John surgery, and if he can get back up to game speed and he can show just a little slight bit of what he was back in 2021, that would be a huge gain for the team if we could get him in the bullpen or even as another starter.
I
Maybe.
was gonna ask. He's been down for a while, right? Like we haven't seen him in a couple of years.
Yeah, so he went down into AAA in 2022. He had a really rough year, and then 2023 it kind of continued, and he realized he was going to have Tommy John surgery. And they
hmm
believe a lot of his struggles were from elbow issues that led to needing the surgery, right? So they believe he wasn't physically himself during that struggle, but it was a good solid 12 months of struggling for Ian. So I really
Yeah,
hope the surgery does a trick, because when he pitched in 2021 and 2020, man, he was lights out, and he looked like he was capable of being a frontline starter for this team for years to come.
100%. Yeah, I was a big Ian Anderson fan. We may have one. Schellenbach is he's been looking good the last two starts. So obviously you can never have too much pitching. So the more the merrier. Bring them all on.
I told you, Tom Glavine, sung his praises,
You
loved
did.
a lot about Schellenbach and his mechanics and the way he pitches. It's just lack of experience, right? He
Hmm.
only pitched, so he wasn't a pitcher growing up. I think he started pitching maybe in college, and then
Mm,
his minor league stint was single A all the way up to the big leagues in a very short
right.
period of time. I think they said he had like maybe a dozen starts under his belt at the time he was making his major league debut.
Yeah.
So that's a meteoric rise, but he also clearly was not ready, and he's just gonna sink or swim, and it seems like he's kind of up to the occasion and battling through it and getting better each game, and that's all you can hope for. And if he continues, then he'll be a big piece of this team, whether it's as a starter or as a bullpen arm.
Yeah. I hope they continue to give him the opportunity. Right. That's always been the thing. You get him out there, and then he gets whacked one game, and you pull him. No, keep him out there. You got your 6-man rotation. Just keep going, right? Spare Charlie an extra day, give Chris Sale an extra day. If somebody needs to be every 5 days to keep their rhythm, like a Max Fried, then you can still organize around that, right?
Yeah, and they are saying that a lot of the reason why they're going with this 6-man rotation is to keep Ronaldo Lopez's innings down, because
Yeah.
he has not been a starter for an entire 162 game season. So they really
Hmm.
want to monitor his innings, and it's working, man. Buddy has less than a 2.0 ERA. If he's not the front runner for the Cy Young right now, he's darn close.
Right. Nah, he's been on fire. So pitching is encouraging. The last thing I say about the Braves is, and I heard about what people are thinking that AA will do, and they're saying that he will likely go outfield in lieu of the injury to Michael Harris. We already had Ronnie out. We got Adam Duvall struggling a bit. He'll come on. Um, but yeah, that we would need some outfield help, like both defensively and with the bat.
Yeah, Adam Duvall has been abysmal at the plate. I've liked what I've seen out of Laureano. They've
Crack the homer. Yeah.
yeah, Martinez has done well. Defensively, I think we're doing all right, but we need some bats coming out of the outfield. So I
Hmm.
would like to see some depth moves by AA.
Yeah. 100%. Speaking of moves, um, I've heard there may be a move at the top of the draft. Have you heard anything about that with the Atlanta Hawks giving up the first round pick?
I mean, I've seen a lot of rumors about the Hawks moving the
Definitely
first
rumor,
pick,
nothing
right?
official.
But then you have Landry Field, who comes out publicly says they have no intentions of moving the first pick.
Is he
So
in charge?
I don't
I don't
know.
know.
I don't
I
know.
think you sent me a clip of it was a guy talking. I don't know if it was a podcast where he was on the radio, but expressing his lack of faith in the Hawks organization from drafting, right? From Sheldon Williams to Marvin Williams, Speedy Claxton. A lot of people don't remember him. AC Law, right? I went back through all the drafts, man. We have done a terrible job. And he even mentioned, right, trading trade for Luca. Now that's probably the one that I'm least displeased with for sure. Trey is he's a superstar. Luca is better for sure, but I don't think we lost. We lost because we failed to successfully use the first round pick that we got for the next year's draft.
Is
Uh,
is Luca better than Trey? I'm gonna echo something that you've said or I've heard. Is it Luca is better than Trey, or has Dallas done a better job building around Luca than Atlanta has Trey? Because they both have the same deficiencies. Luca got absolutely annihilated defensively in the finals. He got, taken advantage of game in and game out. Offensively, they both are scorers, right? They're ballers.
mhm.
They've achieved the same thing. I mean, Luka's been to a finals where Trey has not, but they've both won nothing. So
I think
is
it's
it
a bit of
Luka?
both. Dallas has done a better job positioning Luca as their centerpiece while also plugging in solid pieces. We were just saying it. Atlanta doesn't draft well, so they haven't done a good job of surrounding Trey with very good pieces. Their last experiment was a failure, and shout out DJ, he's a beast, but it just didn't work. I don't think that they work together. But Luca is, I mean, he's damn near unstoppable, right? When he sets his mind to it, he's gonna give you a bucket every time. And he's like 6'8". So he does have that advantage over Trey to where if you need a bucket, I think Trey can bucket. It's gonna be a lot easier for Luca, and I think he's shown that. So I think he has more ability than Trey
Tell me it
from a
doesn't.
scoring aspect. From a scoring aspect.
Tell me it doesn't look like Luka ate a Big Mac and smoked a pack of cigarettes before getting on the court every night.
I mean, look at that by Joker, right? Like,
I don't know if it was in our friend group or if it was just a clip I stumbled upon, but there was one clip and it's Joker playing like pickup game, and it's just like, how is this guy the MVP of the
yeah,
NBA? Because he just
yeah, that was
looks,
our group.
yeah, he's getting blown by who knows like what person off the street.
Yeah. He's just incredibly skilled, and I do think Gilbert Arenas, to circle back to a couple weeks ago, the NBA has transitioned the importance of defense with bringing European players into the league.
Yeah.
For better or for worse, that's just something that has happened. So his skill set on offense is incredible. That Joker's probably one of the best passers in the league. He can also shoot the three back to the basket, back away from the basket. He can do it. I still think he's probably the best player in the league right now. Um, Sloppy body and all, many horses, and my man just wants to finish and go home. He's not here. He's been gone since the season ended. Like, all right, well, we'll try again next year. I'm out. I'll
Yeah.
see y'all in a couple months.
So speaking of European players, right? There are two big names coming out of France,
Hmm.
potential prospects for the Hawks to pick up at number one. One of them we've talked about a little bit, Alexander Sarr. The other one is Zachariah Rozier. However, I don't know.
Zachary, Zachary, Rocher, Rocher,
That was
Zachary, Rocher.
that's pretty good.
That's it.
A
I dabble. Parlez-vous français?
A plus for the guy that I know speaks Spanish.
Right. See.
But anywho, Steve Koonin, I told you before we got in, he was on the Dukes and Bell show, even though Dukes was not there. He was being filled in by Turtle, but he was on the show, and they were specifically asking him about the draft and some of the headlines I've seen about those two players we just mentioned was that the Hawks really were interested in Zachariah and not so much Alexander Sarr. And so one of the questions Turtle posed to Steve Koonin specifically was about their process. Have they gotten to talk to guys, visit with guys, do all their due diligence that they wanted to do on the prospects? And Steve Koonin says, and I quote, "We have spoken to and we have been able to work with everyone we're interested in." The reason why this is important to note is that Alexander Sarr has not worked out with the Atlanta Hawks. So he signaled right there that there is zero interest in Alexander Sarr by the Atlanta Hawks at number 1. How do you feel about that?
It upsets me. If everyone's saying he's the consensus number 1, he's 19 years old, he's a 7-footer, he's a shot blocker, he's athletic. We don't need another small forward. We have struggled with drafting them as it is. So unless we're trading DeAndre Hunter, Jalen Johnson really isn't. He can play the 4, the stretch 4 in the modern NBA, but he's more of a 3. I don't know where this guy fits in. I haven't read a lot about Zachariah, but I'm not interested in drafting this guy. I don't want a small forward. I want a big. Um, do we know, and it's probably worth a quick Google, if they worked out my man, Zach Edey?
I do not know if they worked out Zach Edey, but there is another 7-footer that they are supposedly extremely high on. I just don't know that he's worth the number 1 pick. And this goes into where you were talking about, potentially trading the pick and moving back. But Donovan Clingan, the national champion, 7-footer, I think
a stalwart.
I think he would be a good pick. Like, I would be okay. I'm in the same headspace as you. I want a big. I do not want another small forward. I do not want another, just offensive specialty, right? Like, I don't care to have a player that's just going to be more offense and lack defensive prowess. I don't want to roll another year without a true big.
Mm-hmm. So the one of the knocks against Edey, his draft stock seems to be rising, but one of the knocks against him is that they think he would be exposed when you have a shooting team, like pulling him out. They think he would lock down the paint, but he would be a liability for well shooting teams. That's no different for Klingon. He's not as big, but he's a big dude. He's not guarding anybody out on the perimeter. If I can choose between the two of them, I want the man who can both lock down the paint and give me 30. Right? 30 won't come easy in the NBA for Zach Edey, but he could definitely average a double-double and 2 blocks his rookie year.
So how would you feel if they went Zachariah and then Edey later in the first?
Oh, it's still a mistake to draft a small forward. I mean, I can't say I actually know enough about him. Is he just a defensive-minded small forward? He's very, very small frame. First thing I think is this kid's gonna get bodied just left and right. 6'8", 204. This man's got me by 4 inches. Yes, the maths. And I have him by about 12 to 15 pounds, depending on what time of day it is. That ain't gonna cut it, man. That is not gonna cut it. No, I do not want to draft him. We've seen success out of tall bigs. We can definitely get rid of that pause. That was long. We've seen success out of centers internationally. Luca is not built like this kid, and he was seen as like a really good pick. I don't know, man. I am not interested, honestly. And I'm seeing everything saying now that yeah, Alex Sarr is probably not going to be considered by the Hawks. So that's honestly, I want Alex Sarr and Zach Edey, right? So we talked about we no longer had that second first round pick because it was lottery protected. So that'll push out till next year.
Mm.
Um, oh man, they're gonna blow it. I'm with Buddy in that video. They're gonna blow it, man. And it's an easy situation for them to blow just because, it's not a super talented. I mean, all these kids are talented, right? But it's not a stocked draft class.
So speaking about that specifically, and this is a long one, so just bear with me. And I'm gonna cut the audio in right here.
I think that this team has reached its peak, and how unfortunate it is for the Atlanta Hawks to finally get the #1 pick in over 40-something years?
They're a year late, right?
They're a year late. I mean, this is the worst time to have the first pick. And so I really think they just need to. At first, I was like, build around Trey, but I think it's time for Trey to go somewhere else. I think they need to just draft whoever they can at the #1 pick and trade Trey Young somewhere to where he can make a significant difference, because this Atlanta Hawks team, built as it is with DeJounte Murray and him, I just don't think that's a good fit for those two.
Agreed.
And I think moving forward, you can build around DeJounte. He showed that, he's a franchise-level point guard. He's been an all-star in this league. And you can build with him. Maybe Trey Young will look good going to San Antonio, somewhere like that, or Chicago. I don't know.
Trey completely wiped his entire Twitter, social media of everything Hawks related, posted a real cryptic tweet with a hourglass emoji, and it looks like, potentially, at least from all the rumors and trying to read behind the lines, that Trey could be on the move. So I want to know what your thoughts are on what Paul Pierce had to say and Trey's future with the organization.
So, Paul Pierce was a hooper, but outside of that, man, I don't really have a whole lot. I don't disrespect him, but I'm not giving a whole lot of gravitas towards any of his opinions. Right? He says some wild stuff, does some wild things. So, nah, I pish posh, Paul Pierce. And then with what Trey did, Kyler Murray did the same thing. I think it's just something with this generation, right? They want to send a message, and they do it by deleting things on their social media. More often than not, I think that has resulted in the players signing with or being retained by their current organization. I'm trying to think of another example. I'm sure there are a bunch, but Kyler Murray is the one that I'm thinking of right now.
Justin Fields did it this past spring with the Chicago Bears, and he's no longer in Chicago.
Great counterpoint. Great counterpoint. I don't know. I don't want Trey to go. I don't agree with Paul Pierce. I don't think that we should start without Trey. I think we just need to put the pieces around him, like Dallas has done, right? Like the Celtics did. It wasn't one man that won in Boston. It was all five of them. I think Jaylen Brown deserved the MVP just because he put up the numbers consistently and he was guarding Luka a lot. But it was definitely a team effort. You take any one of those five, and five, I'm saying Al Horford, not Porzingis. You take any one of those five off the court, they might not win. It's a team sport. I think Trey is the best piece we're gonna have for a long time. If we trade him, we are not going to have a better piece come back for him, right? So in building a team, we're already in a deficit from where we are now. If we lose our best chip,
So you're predicting what? DeJounte to be the piece that we move, and with this draft, if we do trade back, Trae Young will not be a part of that decision. Like, we won't move on from Trae. He won't be a trade piece with the draft, and he'll be the centerpiece moving forward.
I think Trey is the centerpiece moving forward. This isn't even prediction. This is what I want. Because to predict what the Hawks are going to do is like you had to have 17 crystal balls, um, all aligned in a row, and the moon would have to be situated at peak sage burning angles, right? All this goofy stuff because they don't know what they're doing, right? I don't have any faith in them to do what is the most logical thing. That said, I think Trey remains the centerpiece. You One more thing about that. If you trade Trey and say you package him with the number one pick, you're still not going to get a player as good as him. Just because the number one pick has less value to people than it usually does in other drafts. But that said, I want Trey to be retained. I want there's a trade that has been brought up, and I'm interested in it. I want Brandon Ingram from the Pelicans, Pelicans. Brandon Ingram from the Pelicans in exchange for Clint Capella. Um, so that's Trey, Brandon Ingram, Jalen Johnson. You don't have to part with DJ. Like, you have the money. I don't know if he's a part of it. They could also do that, but this is what I want. I do want to trade him. I don't know what we get back for him. I just want to send him somewhere where we can get something of value, and a defender, a nice defender, right? Like a Drew Holiday. The Celtics aren't going to part with him, but to that same effect, just a stalwart on a defensive end that could cover up some of Trey's deficiencies. And then we have Big O, and I like to draft Zach Edey. What happens with the number one pick in that scenario? It's non-consequential, honestly.
Well, obviously,
What do you think is going to happen?
I like your take. But if you're getting a Zach Edey, right, that number one pick, you say it's non-consequential, but you're moving that pick to get Zach Edey, right?
Yeah.
So, I would be down with that. I'd also be down with a similar circumstance, moving the first pick and getting a Donovan Clingan. Like I said, I want size, so that's my number one priority. I do think it's time to move on from Clint. I would like to see DJ and Trey coexist, but I don't know that it's, really possible for them to coexist successfully. You brought up Drew Holiday. Man, what a legacy that guy is building for himself, doing it in Milwaukee and then Boston. Shout out UCLA Bruins.
Yeah.
You brought up, I know this doesn't answer your question, but you brought up Jalen Johnson, or not Jalen Johnson, but Jalen Brown and the Jason Tatum MVP discussion. And I just want to say, I agree with you. I wanted Jalen to win it. I do think he deserves it, but it is wild to think that for the first time in the history of the finals, the person that led their team in scoring, rebounds, and assists did not win the MVP.
Yeah, you can do that with highs and lows, right? You score 30 and then you score 7 in another game. It's not as important.
I understand, like, the eye test to me said Jalen 100%, but when you look at the statistics, it's like, wow, like Jason had a pretty nice series. But I do agree. I think it went to the right guy. taking a step back, I don't know what the Hawks are going to do. I'm really interested to see how it goes down on Wednesday night. With, that being said, I too have little faith in the front office to make the logical decision. I hope someone's lining up their 17 crystal balls, putting it the right angle to Mars, and burning some sage to rid us of the curses that this organization has brought us. With that, just to poke fun, sports are heavily superstitious, right? Pro athletes are heavily superstitious. The Braves have a new superstition. I don't know if you've heard about the snit bear.
I have not.
Oh, I'll post a picture of him, but he's a teddy bear that they have in the dugout, and he is the reason why we're winning right now. Just let you know. But
yeah, I can't wait to see this picture.
it's just a teddy bear, but it is it does go with the theme of our best player this year has been the big bear, Marcell Ozuna. From start to now, he's been by far our best player. But either way, superstition. We need, as fans, to be doing whatever we can to rid our organization of curses before Wednesday night, so they don't screw this one up.
What would you trade for Trae Young? What do you need in return for Trae?
I think if I'm going to legitimately rebuild, I've got to get multiple lottery picks, right?
100%.
I've got to get a lottery pick in this year's draft. I've got to get a lottery pick in next year's draft, and I probably want a current vet on top of that.
A little salary casualty or something, or somebody that you expect to play.
Someone that I expect to be a contributor, not someone that's going to replace the production of Trae. Let's just be clear on that. But someone who is going to contribute and be on the floor for at least 15 to 20 minutes a night.
So if I say first round pick, we gave away 3 first round picks for DeJounte. I need 3.
At least
3 for Trae. Right?
Yeah.
And I'm talking, I don't want no lottery protect. I want unprotected first round picks from bum teams.
From the Pelicans. No,
they were almost in the playoffs. They were in the play-in.
They were in the play-in. I was just joking. But
yeah, man. We'll see what they do. We will see what they do.
So from one cursed organization to another. No, they're not cursed. Rise up, baby. Rise up.
Rise up.
They announced this week that Matt Ice is going to go into the Ring of Honor. And I thought it was really cool how they did the announcement. We'll go ahead and play that clip right now.
Hey, man, here it is, man. So I was thinking about it, right? Talking about culture and stuff that we're doing. I said, what does it mean to be a Falcon? And I said, just like I said about like identity, right? Coaches have no right to tell you what your identity is going to be. Who are the guys that can tell us what our identity is going to be? The guys sitting in these seats, right? We make all these coaches stand up, personnel people, all the support staff, all of us support. We stand your ass up, Scar. We're all standing up, right? Because you guys set the identity, right? I said, let's go get Mr. Falcon himself, man, to tell us what it means to be a Falcon to him. And I want to introduce Matt Ryan. What?
All right. First of all, I just want to say thanks to Raheem for asking me to come in and talk to you guys, man. It's a little bit surreal to be back, standing in front of the team. I feel like I've done this a million times, but I'm probably more nervous today than I ever was standing in front of everybody else. So Rod texted me a little while back and asked if I would come in and talk to you guys. And I said, yeah, cool. What do you want me to talk about? And he's like, what it means to be a Falcon. And I was like, that's kind of a heavy thing to talk about because, you know, for 14 years, this was my life, right? Coming in, sitting in the meeting rooms, working out on the practice fields, just trying to do everything I could to help this team win. So it had me thinking about what the mindset was when we were in this building. And for me, it was always about, I didn't get who we were playing. We're gonna show up and roll these, right from the start. New Orleans, yeah, tough place to play. Won a Super Bowl in 2009. The group that we had plays them week 3 of 2010, and we go down and hand it to them down there. No one was scared, right? Nobody was scared. We all had the belief that no matter who the we were playing, we were gonna go out there and take care of business. Carolina, in division. We play them in 2015, up in Carolina in December. They're like 13-0 at the time, or 12-0, whatever it is. They kicked the shit out of us. They're taking pictures on the sideline. They beat us by 30 points. 2 weeks later, these guys roll into here 14-0, and we beat the shit out of them at home and ruin their perfect season, right? They're 14-1, 15-1 going into playoffs. That mindset was, I don't give a what our record is, what theirs is. They're coming into our place, or we're going to theirs, and we're going to hand it to them. We had that mindset. It didn't make a difference, right? Regardless of who we're playing, regardless of division games, whatever the track record had been, when we were at our best, there was a mindset that we were going to go out there and get the job done. All right, so how did I learn that? Well, I learned it by coming in and watching the players that I played with, right? I think about the locker room that I came into. Todd McClure, unbelievable player for the Falcons. He's in the Ring of Honor. He's from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Country guy, as good of a teammate as you could find, kind of soft-spoken, but was really the glue that kind of kept that team together, right? He was the guy that could tell you what you needed to hear, not what you wanted to hear, what you needed to hear, but could also be the guy that you could go talk to about, hey man, I'm struggling with this, and he would listen, right, and give you good guidance. Another guy I played with, Roddy White. He was from James Island, South Carolina. Roddy did not shut the up from the moment he came into the building, right? Anybody that played with him knows you were gonna hear him the moment you walked into the building. He was high energy, he took notes, and he was combative in a good way, right? To bring the best out of you. So I learned a lot from him. One story I remember about him is we're playing in the 2012 divisional playoffs. We're playing the Seahawks. So for you younger guys, 2012, this was the very beginning of the Legion of Boom, right? You're talking about Cam Chancellor, Richard Sherman, that group. Bobby Wagner was young. All these guys, right? And they're physical. And we start the game off, and Roddy's our Z, right? Roddy, at this point, had probably had 5 consecutive 1,000-yard, seasons. He was one of like the top receiving, players in all of the NFL for 5 years. But the play I remember is the first play of the game. We're running duo or weak inside zone. I can't remember which it was, but Roddy had to block force on the backside. And they're playing 3 buzz, and Cam Chancellor is the little buzz player right here. And Roddy comes down, I go back, I hand the ball off to the left, set up my play fake, and I see Roddy come screaming out of the middle of nowhere and decleat Cam Chancellor. And he gets up and he starts talking and he says, yeah, I'm gonna be here all day, mother. And he was. So those two guys, very different, but similar attitudes, right? Different personalities, but similar attitudes of playing tough. The last guy that I'll talk about is Tony Gonzalez, and he came in my second year. And he's out of Huntington Beach, California, right? His personality could not be more different than Todd McClure, than Roddy White. He was chill, right? Like nothing fazed him, everything was always good. He kind of moved slow. He might have showed up late a handful of times, but he showed up and knew how to play on Sundays. He was also a guy that had been around the league forever and was that guy that you could go to in the locker room, right? You could pick his brain about certain things that were going on at home, certain things that I should be doing with the diet standpoint, just kind of a wealth of information. But my point is, I came into this league and saw this locker room that had all these people from different places. And every team I've been a part of, whether it's here, Boston College, Indianapolis, doesn't make a difference, right? Every locker room says this, right? We got people from all over the place that are coming together to work towards a common bond. The difference here in Atlanta is that the city is the exact same way. You gotta earn it from them. And when you do, this city goes on fire. Trust me. Ra's been a part of it. I've been a part of it. Jake's been a part of it. When you get rolling here, this city comes on fire. And my challenge to you guys is to get it back rolling. Because to me, what it means to be a Falcon is to and go out there and earn it every day. That's how you get it in this league. Nothing's given, everything is earned. I'm pulling for you guys. It's going to be fun to watch you this year. Rod, thank you, man.
Hey, man, we got one more thing, bro. You know, and this guy is the best Falcon of all time. And it is my f***ing pleasure to put this man in the ring of f***ing honor.
Yeah. A couple comments, right? One, well-deserved. Matt Ryan, Atlanta legend. He got us to the big game. I don't think it's his fault that we lost it. They said in the clip he is the greatest Falcon of all times. I agree. And I have like we did our rankings way back of 5 icons, Atlanta sports icons, and I think Mike Vick just kind of changed the game. He opened it up for a lot of running quarterbacks. There was already scramblers, right? Randall Cunningham, Steve Young, Dante Culpepper even, right? But
Warren Moon.
Warren Moon, but he opened the door to where, I mean, you almost got to scramble now. If you don't have legs, you can't start. And he changed the game. So I got a lot of love for Mike Vick, but as far as the best Falcon of all time, is Matt Ryan. I think it's more than his numbers. It's what he's done for the organization. Is that he's a kind man and would willing to take a picture with a fan at a Chipotle. And then the speech that he gave, talking about these other players, right? He's talking about Roddy, how Roddy would never shut up. I could definitely see that. We're talking about how Tony G be late, but he would also be like the man. So I think who's the third one? Todd McClure talking about his center, how that was the wise man on the team, right? He established real relationships with these guys. I was sad to see him go. I definitely thought that his time here, the way that it ended, was unfortunate, but it is awesome to see him come back and a well-deserved honor to see him in the ring of honor, 100%.
I don't know about you, but when I saw that clip for the first time, man, I got so pumped up. You know, Raheem, first off, bringing the energy, just kind of introducing Matt to the team. Every time I see Raheem Morris, man, I'm like, yeah, that's my coach. I love that, man. I'd go to war for him. But
I'm ready to see what he does, dog. I'm super excited about the Falcons. I'm more excited about the Falcons than the Hawks draft. 100%.
Oh yeah, I'm really excited to see Raheem get the opportunity. I'm really excited to see what he does, and I'm excited to see what this team does as it's been building for the last few years, right? But Raheem introducing Matty Ice, there's a few things that he said that I really loved. One was when he was talking about the team embodying the city of Atlanta and how the fans will love this team. And if you win and if you're successful, they will be behind you. He's seen it, right? And I just really appreciated him acknowledging, because I feel like the city gets such a bad rap for its fickle fans, right? Or it's the worst fan base in all of, you know, the United States and all of professional sports. Atlanta's the worst sports city, and that's a bunch of bull hockey, right? This city is just one.
Spit on that. I spit on that quote, man.
This city loves its teams, but it will not accept a loser. And because of that, you know, we get that bad rep. But like Matt Ryan said, this city will get behind you if you are successful. And the other thing that I love that he said was just telling the story about Roddy White and going up against Cam Chancellor, young Cam Chancellor, and how he just stuck it to him and said, I'll be here all day.
Yeah, that's an awesome story.
Yeah, man, it just gave me a whole new perspective and respect for Roddy White. You know, he is one of the Falcons' greats. He may be the all-time leading receiver, I think, for the Atlanta Falcons. But it was cool. I'm glad he's getting his due. Well deserved. He is right now the greatest quarterback in franchise history. I'm sure you'll be at that ceremony since you've got season tickets. I
We'll
hope
drink one to Matty Ice for sure.
I hope he's well received and that the ceremony does give him the respect and honor that he deserves. Now, they did announce one other person going into the Ring of Honor with him. That would be your owner, Arthur Blank.
Mr. Arthur Blank. First thought, what? No. No, you're not going into the Ring of Honor. You bought the team. Now you're buying your Ring of Honor spot. Initially, right? I was like, nah. I didn't blame him for the Super Bowl, is what I've heard, right? Why people feel like he shouldn't be in there. But historically, I think he's given coaches too long a time, right? Dan Quinn, too long a time. Arthur Smith, it was only like a year extra, but too long a time. And, we're aging with you, Mr. Blank. I don't have forever either, brother. It's like, give me a coach out there, give me a team on the field that you feel like can compete for a championship. We haven't had that in years now. Like even Matt Ryan's final year, maybe year and change, we were not going to win a Super Bowl, right? Not even close. That is him because he's hiring the people who hire the people. He has to have a weight in those decisions. Now, you don't want him to go full Jerry Jones, but if it's not working and it's important to you, I don't want to hear all the radio pundits telling me that winning is the most important thing to you. Like, all right, I'm sure, but I don't see it. So that's why I initially rebuffed that. Like, Arthur. But then I looked up something. It's actually quite common per a Reddit user. The Bengals, Broncos, Bucks, Cardinals, Chargers, Colts, Commanders, Giants, Jags, Jets, Rams, Ravens, Seahawks, Saints, Texans, and Titans all have an owner in their respective team Hall of Fame or Ring of Honors. The other thing that was mentioned on the radio, shout out Squid Billy, he said he paid a lot of he paid for that stadium. A lot of that came out of his pocket. And it is a wonderful place. I think they've done an amazing job with that. It's a bit of an asterisk for me because he also has another team that plays there and that generates revenue for the place. But he did come out of pocket for the Benz, and I love that place. That's the only reason I have season tickets. It ain't because the team's been kicking ass. It's because the environment in there is just a good time, and we're always pulling for a win, but I have a good time when we don't get it as well. So I do shout him out for that. If he wants to be in the Ring of Honor and all those other teams have owners in the Ring of Honor, make your move, right? How do you feel about it?
I had the same initial reaction as you, and I still kind of feel that way. Now, don't get me wrong. I think Arthur Blank is done an amazing job as an owner just to re-engage the city. He does a lot of philanthropic things for the city. He's always trying to grow the city and its outreach, and he's very, very, very he loves the team, right? He loves the franchise. He wants more than anyone else a Super Bowl for the city. He knows what it would mean for the city. He took on this franchise when it was in the dumps and made it relevant, right?
Mm-hmm.
His footprint, or fingerprint on this franchise cannot be understated. However, even with all those teams, and I would love to go look and see about this next point, I don't feel like a owner who is the current owner should be eligible for the Ring of Honor. I think it should be like a retirement type honor, right? Like he should either sell the team or die before he should be able to make it to the Ring of Honor.
Right.
And all those other teams that have owners in their respected Hall of Fame, I'm curious, like, are they still living? Are they still the owners of those franchises? Or did they pass and then get inducted? Now, does he deserve the honor? Absolutely. I find it kind of odd that you are the controlling interest of the team. So, like, who voted on this? You? Who was going to vote against you? Nobody, right?
No one. So I don't know if he deserves. I'll tell you what he deserves. He deserves to be in the Georgia Hall of Fame, right? Bought the Falcons while they're in the dumps. One of the owner operators, founders of Home Depot. He has his bust at the aquarium because he spent money for the Georgia Aquarium to be built. He built this new stadium. His name is in big letters up on the new Children's Hospital of Atlanta off of North Druid Hills that opens in September, um, because he's contributing to that legacy. So for the state of Georgia and the city of Atlanta, put that man in the Hall of Fame. Deserves it. For the Falcons, I think the point that you made actually swayed me back to my original opinion. Right? You're actively in the job. Matt Ryan couldn't have been. That's like Matt Ryan being put in the Ring of Honor while he was still playing. I don't think that that's cool. And the fact that he's the only. I don't think he's the only one who gets a vote. But who's going to vote against their boss?
Right.
Right? You're still in control of everything. I'm not going to say no. You can't get in. Georgia Hall of Fame, not Ring of Honor, but he's in, and yeah, what we gonna do?
Yeah. Yeah, we're coming up on the season real fast, man. I'm looking forward to it. As you said, I'm most excited to see what this team does this year.
So we won't have a whole lot of time left, and I'm gonna introduce a new topic, also Falcons adjacent, that I found pretty interesting. Have you seen the Madden trailer?
No, I have not.
Okay, so there's two things there. One I'm just gonna mention because I thought it was kind of funny. Um, it starts off, it's the Browns kicking off to the Steelers, and Justin Fields receives the kickoff. He doesn't even get to hold the ball that long before he gives it to Cordero Patterson. Shout out Cordero, kick return record holder. But they don't show every team in Madden videos, and in this one, I think that Bijan got a feature clip, right? Like several seconds of visibility of just him juking the shoes off of a defender. And then Drake London also got a feature where he's making an amazing catch. Um, Madden has something to say about the Falcons, and I like what they're saying, right? That we are going to be players. We're going to be in high visibility. You're going to have to see us because Atlanta's here. I'm super excited. You got to check out that Madden video, man.
Oh, I'm gonna watch
We'll
it.
drop that in the description too.
I'm gonna watch it as soon as we log out here. But let's just hope that's not part of that Madden curse.
Oh, the curse is broken.
Okay.
Do you think it's broken?
I don't know.
It is. I say it with such confidence because of who broke it. The GOAT.
Tom Brady.
GOAT Brady. He broke it. I think he was on the cover the year he won the Super Bowl. And at that point, I think it was broken. I don't say it wasn't real because there were people say, oh, man, curse not real. All right, well, statistics say otherwise, but it's all luck and, superstition in sports circling back. But
Just
Tom Brady
to
broke it. So we'll see what Christian McCaffrey does.
just to tie into that previous conversation, I think it's kind of funny that they made the GOAT edition of Madden with Brady on the cover while he was still playing the game.
And he didn't vote on it though. That's not like
No,
blank, right?
he he had no involvement in that decision, but you know, it's the same thing. Calling someone the greatest or putting them in the hall before they even retire.
Tom is probably the one exception, man. I don't love the guy at all, but I got a lot of respect for him. He broke my heart. Um, but he broke the heart of some of my rivals, so I'm not too mad at it.
Yeah.
He's great. He is the GOAT. I'll give him that.
So before we sign out, I told you I had a controversial question to ask.
Oh boy.
I saw, just to caveat this, I saw this in a Reddit forum, and it was directly relating to the first topic we talked about, which was the game the MLB did at Rickwood Field in Birmingham. And we mentioned that they brought out the Negro League players and they were wearing their Negro League jerseys. So Reddit user says, I'm a Caucasian male. I think that the Negro League jerseys are dope. Would it be wrong for me to wear one? My wife says yes. What say ye?
Wear it. It's a jersey. Wear it. And it's showing support. Now I don't know who owns the rights to it anymore, right? But at least that's showing support for the Negro Leagues. If that money's still going to, an organization that I don't know what they would do, curate museums or preserve the history or work with the MLB on introducing new continuing to diversify the game because it's always been diverse. I'm with it. He should wear it. Tell him buy a Dream jersey too, or his local WNBA team. I think he would get away with a Negro League jersey before a WNBA, unless it's Caitlin Clark. Then everyone will give him a pass.
Yeah.
Who's playing tonight, man? We got to check that game out.
Yeah, they're in Atlanta. They're going to be back here in August, but from what I heard on the radio, it was packed out. My boss is actually there with some girlfriends. So
Right.
yeah.
That's fire, man. Well,
Yeah.
we'll have a lot more content for y'all coming up, man. Stay with us. We appreciate you listening. Appreciate you tuning in. Like, subscribe. Click that notification bell, and we'll see you around. Peace.
Peace.